due to any reason, because of the number of participants, I don't think there will be any restriction as such. But if you find it difficult to join, then do let me know. Okay, right. So I hope this is visible. Right. So as I was discussing, there are three different ways in which you can give input to your lecture. Right. So the first way is through the terminal, which is nothing but the standard input. Right. So you can uh, give input through the standard input file. The second one is you can give the input through a file, okay, through a separate file. The third one is that you can give the input through command line, okay, or through command line arguments. So these are the three different ways in which you can give input to our lecture, right? So by default, whenever I call yylex in my main function, then by default it will use the standard input, and you are supposed to give the input to your program in the terminal. Okay, previously we have run several programs where we had given input through our terminal, right? Now to change the way in which the lecture is going to take the input, we need to modify one of the variable associated with that, which is called as yyIn. So this yyIn is going to open up a like it's a file pointer, by the way, or it's a input to the lecture. So you need to modify this variable and you have to associate it with the file which you want to give it as an input. Okay, like you have to open up that particular file and pass that file pointer to yyIn. So how do we do that? So we actually use the fopen function, and we specified the path name of the file, and we specified the mode in which the file are supposed to be opened. So once you specify this, then fopen function is going to open up a file for you, and it's going to associate that with the yyIn, right? So this is the second way to do it, right? So the third way is also the same, but we are accepting the input through command line. Input in the sense we are accepting the name of the file, right? So in the second case, the file name has to be specified in the function as a parameter. So if you want to change the file during runtime, it's not possible. So what we can do is we can specify the file names through the command line and then substitute the name of the file into the path name of fopen function. So how do we do that? We do it through the command line arguments, which are argc and argv, right? So argument count and vector. So argument count will keep track of the number of arguments that you have passed in the command line, and argv will keep track of number of the actual arguments which have been passed in the command line, right? So like for example, if I use a.exe in my case, and then if I pass a, b and c, right? So argument count in this case is 4, this is 1, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth. So arguments are separated by a space, and arg vector will basically comprise of the following. At argv of 0, we will have what? We will have a dot exe stored. At argv of 1, we have a stored. At argv of 2, we have b stored, and at argv of 3, we have got c stored, right? So like this, we can access the argument vector and argument count. So obviously these two are parameters for the main function. Okay, so these are parameters that we normally do not specify, but this case, when we want to modify our input to our lecture, we can actually make use of our argument count and argument vector to modify that. Okay, so now the function remains the same, but however, we can modify the argument, right? So argv of I would basically help us to access all the values I ranging from 0 to 3 in this case, or in other words, I ranging from 0 to argument count, okay, less than argument count, right? So these are the three different ways in which you can modify the input of our lexer, right? So you can either make our lexer to take input from standard input, or take input from a file, or take input from the command lines, right? So in the previous lab session, I think I had explained about how to do that. I believe this was the program, right? So we had modified our program, word count program, to execute in the same way as that of WC command, right? So I'll show you once again for those who had not seen that. Right, so flex hello world, right? Then GCC flex dot yy dot c. Right, so a dot exe. So I'm just running the program without any input. So when I run the program without any command line argument, sorry, when I run the program without any command line arguments, it should take the input from the standard input. Okay? So now, as you can see, I'm giving the input from the standard input. Okay, don't know whether it will work properly, because in the last case, because of the command prompt, we had not seen the output properly. Okay, so for the terminal, it's not working properly, but in your case, it might work. The second case is when I give the input, right? So input.txt, as you can see, it is taking the input, right? So I can give some other file names also, or more than one file name also. So a.exe, input.txt, and there is one more file, input1.txt. Let me use that. As you can observe, we can see that it is showing the total number of sorry, not showing total, but showing how many spaces are there, characters are there, lines are there, and words are there in each of the file. Okay, but I had asked you to make some modifications to this program uh, so that it also shows the total count, right? So how many of you have tried it out? Can you raise your hands? Okay, anybody else? Okay, okay, lower your hand. Right, so it is easy to make that modification. All you need to do is need to have variables, right? So obviously for each count, you need to have a total, right? So for example, you can have variable like total space count. Okay, so similarly you can have another variable, just write it as TWC, which is for total word count, and another variable total for character count, and another variable for line count, right? So you can have this in your program. It's quite simple, right? So then what you need to do is when you come across, or when you are done with one file, right? So when you're done with one file, you're supposed to increment the value of these. Okay, so this is where, for every file, what we do here is, so Lex will increment the count and it will print it. Okay, so here we need to add all those things together. That's it. Okay, so total space count should be equal to what? Should be equal to whatever the space count is with the earlier one. Okay, so I'll write total space count plus SC, right? So same definition you can add for other things, and later you can put the printf statement at the end. So here, as we are printing the space count, character count, and line count, we can also put the total line count, character count, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, one more thing that I forgot to do in the last case was, after every file, see here, if you observe the output, so it's actually adding up. Okay, I don't think you noticed, but I'm not getting the proper output here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So input one.txt. Okay, I'll just add ABC. Right, I'll just add. I think, so this much is sufficient. Okay, what is input one.txt? So input one also I will delete few content so that I can show you this. Right, so this is input. How many words are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In input one.txt, I have got 2. Right, so let me run our program again. See what it is showing now. So spaces has been added 3, so 2 and 3, right? And characters, it is showing that in the second file you have 24, but you don't have 24 character actually, right? You have only 6, right? And lines, obviously 2 has been written here, there is only 1 line, so count is not showing properly, and words is also getting added up. Okay, so here there is only 1 line because I did not print, I did not press enter here, so obviously that line is not being recognized. Okay, so obviously this numbers that I'm getting in input one.txt is wrong because it is getting added up. So whatever the contents are in SC, CC, LC, so on and so forth, they are actually getting added up. Okay, so in order to ensure that this does not happen, you have to set those values to 0. Okay, so I will write SC is equal to CC is equal to LC is equal to WC is equal to 0. Okay, why 0? Because we have to reset the values, because for a new file we have to count the space, character, word and line again, right? So with a new value, so we are supposed to do this for each file, right? So, but before to make that change I was talking about earlier, before this you need to add the values of space count, character count, line count and W count with their respective total counts. Okay, so this is the change, and then finally you can print it anywhere you want the total. Okay, of course after the for loop you can print it. Let me show you now whether the change has been reflected. Okay, so we'll use both. So now it is showing properly. Okay, so 1 space was there, 6 characters are there, 2 words are there, lines, of course I did not press any enter here in input one.txt, so obviously there is no slash n character there, so it's saying that it is having only 0 lines, right? So you make this modification to the program and supposed to submit it as an assignment. Okay, so only those students who submit that as an assignment will get marks for laboratory. Okay, so of course I have has done that. Don't copy same. Try to execute on your own. Right. So I had also given you a few assignment related to our laboratory session. So let us have a look at that also. So I'm expecting, uh, of course, the previous program itself was not implemented by many of you, not many of you, almost all. So I believe I can expect that even these assignments have also not been tried. Okay, let us confirm anyhow that be also on record. How many of you have tried the assignment? Comment lines. Okay, only 2, 3, 4. Okay. Right, considerable number. Good. So those who have submitted the, those who have completed or tried that assignment, I will post a link for you to upload that. So even that is going to be considered for evaluation. Okay. Of course, for those who are here for the movie, let us now discuss about the program to eliminate the comment lines from a C program. Right? Do that. So let me take this input file only. I'll just modify this input file. Okay, so let me write a C program for this. So normally how we write a C program, we will write so int a comma b comma c, and c is equal to a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. I'm simply writing a C program just for our reference, right? So then enter. Okay, so this completes our C program. Okay, I'll also add few things at the beginning, just like how we are supposed to write a C program, right? So first one is this include statement. So before that, let us add some comment. So this is a program to add two numbers. Okay. So author is right. So now I will add few comment lines here. Header file. Okay. And add one more comment here, multi-line comment. Okay, what I have written does not matter, just that I need to have some comment lines, right? So variables and print result. Okay, we'll also add some comment lines here to run this program. Use the following. PC. Let's see. Okay, so this is my input. Okay, what is supposed to happen is that I need to recognize how many comment lines are there, and I also need to eliminate them, right? So I need to eliminate them. So how are we going to do that? So let us have a look into few of the concepts that are required for us to do the same, right? Okay. So obviously we are writing a Let's program. So can you tell me uh, what is the regular expression? We are going to concentrate mainly on our uh, what the rule section of our program. So obviously tell me what is the rule that we are supposed to write for a single line comment, because we know that there are single line comment and there are multi-line comment, right? So we have rules for single line comment we should have rules for multi-line comment as well. Okay, how do we do this? Can anyone tell me what is the rule for single line comment? Just a second. Those who are not able to join the link, I have sent an second link for on the classroom for you to rejoin. You can actually use that. Okay. So students who are unable to join using the first link, so if you get logged out and you're unable to join the session, then you can use my second link. Okay. So use that to join back. Right. So some of them have given the answer. Good. So let me check and verify for a single line comment, right? So for a single line comment, some of them have written uh, double slash. Okay, so I'll just show you what has been written. Okay, so these are some of the rules that have been tried out. So first, we have written something like this. Okay, so obviously, in a single line comment, what we are looking for, we are specifically looking for this particular character, right? So this pattern. So single line comment would obviously begin with double slashes, and anything that follows, right? So anything that follows is going to be considered as a part of the comment line, right? So whatever we have written here, so how do we specify this pattern is going to be important. So somebody has written it like this, which is obviously okay, no problem, but you're writing it inside a character class. When you write it inside a character class, what will happen is, so it will either be matching this one or it will be either matching this one. Okay, either one of them is going to be matched. Together, they are not going to be considered. Okay, so if you are writing it within the character class, then this is going to be considered as wrong because it can match something like this also instead of this. Okay, so that is one thing. So somebody else has written, Abdul to be precise. So they have escaped the meaning of this. They have written it like this. So escape slash, right? But you know that this is not a regular expression. This is not a regular expression, right? So if it's a regular expression, so not a regular meta character, right? So this is not a meta character, this backward slash, okay? So it's not a meta character, so it need not escape its meaning, right? So you can simply write that this is what I am looking for, right? So what Tejaswini has specified is that you are looking for these two together, literally, right? So this might be one of the way to specify the single line comment. Okay, so this is what we are looking for first of all, and that is supposed to be followed by what? It can be followed by anything, right? So you already know what we can write for anything. So for anything, I can simply write dot. Okay, and that dot can appear any number of times. Now, one more advantage that we get here by writing dot star is because we know that dot does not match slash n, or it actually matches everything except slash n. So single line comment is only one line. So obviously it will not cover slash n. So this might be a better way to write our uh, pattern for a single line comment. Okay. So others have also specified, for example, Varun once again is trying to escape. Not necessary. You can literally specify your multi-line comment as starting with this one and then followed by anything. Okay. Now you can be specific. Anything means if you are expecting that a comment line will only contain characters or numbers or any special character like that, you can specifically mention that here. Okay, but it's not required. In general, we will write that a single line comment can contain anything except slash. Okay. So Rachana has written correct. Dikshita once again you have put escape character. It's not required basically. Escaping is not at all required. Okay. So for a single line comment that is fine. What about multi-line comment? What about multi-line comment? Can you specify multi-line comment? For multi-line comment, what can we specify? What rule can we specify? Can anybody put the rule for that? Okay, so if you have written the regular expression for a single line comment, maybe you are thinking that this can be a and right, so it always begins with a slash star, correct, and it ends with a star slash. These things are necessary, correct, these things are necessary, right? So there should be a slash star and there should be a star slash, right? In between there can be comment, right?
Yeah.
Right. So how can we write it? So can I simply write it as dot star? Can I simply write it as dot star here? Okay, so that is one question. So can I simply write it as dot star and say that this is a multi-line comment? That is one thing. So whether it will work, right? So that's the question. So there are other things that have been specified. Let me check. So the first one that is given here, let me copy that out. Okay, so slash star and then dot star slash n, then again this is star. So obviously I'm assuming that this star is applicable to this one, and then dot star is there, and then star slash is there. Okay, so whether it would work or not, we have to check. Then somebody has written, Smriti has written slash star dot star slash any number of times, right? So obviously some, so star is, this star is applicable to which one? So if it is applicable for this, then obviously this is wrong. Okay, because this star applies to the previous pattern, and the previous pattern that is currently considered is this. So you are expecting 0 or more occurrences of this. Okay, which is wrong. The last one, star slash star star slash. Okay, in between return um, anything except star slash. Okay, maybe this might also work. Okay, let us put it into action and let us check whether it will work or not. Okay, so let me copy this. So in the pattern I will write comment line dot. Okay, so let me use that pattern that has been specified. First is the single line comment followed by dot star. Okay, so what's the action? Single line comment, single line comment. Okay, so just increment the value. I'm just counting. Okay, so int SLC is equal to 0 and NLC is equal to 6. Okay, so let us try that out for single line comment and print the value. So y int is equal to, I'll just use fopen function here to open that file input.txt. And which mode we are using? We are using the read mode. So this has to be called before yymax, of course, mistake. And okay, so right, I'll use command line argument. Okay, so argv of 1. I will only use first argument, and then printf single line comment is equal to %d. Let's try that out for single line comment. So let us see whether single line comment works or not. Okay, so let me clear this. Flex comment line dot l ECC x dot yy dot c. There's a mistake. Sorry. I have to put comma. Let me give only .php input dot txt. Okay, so it's printing the entire program out. But if you observe, okay, if you observe what has happened, you can see that there are no, okay, I'll show you the input first. That is input.txt, right? So you can observe this is the output that I've got. And as you can observe, the single line comments are completely gone from the program, right? So only multi-line comment is remaining because I have not written any uh, code for that or regular expression for that. So it is saying that SLC count is equal to 5. So did we have 5 single line comment, right? So let us check. So this was 1, 2, obviously this is 3, okay, okay, this is 4 here, right, and this is 5, right? So 5 single line comments were there. So have we counted it? Yes. Have we eliminated it also? Yes, right? So we have done this. Okay, so single line comment is eliminated and counted. Okay, let me try out the next set of code which you have written. Okay, so obviously as I mentioned, okay, I'll try out Raymond's first. Copy, I'll paste it in my new program. Let us paste this multi-line comment and plus plus. So let us also print it. Percentage D. So let me run the program again. Expected expression before dot token. Okay, so there's a mistake here. Right, so the way it has been written, maybe it is wrong. Okay, the regular expression is showing wrong. Let us try this one out. Yeah, the grouping is wrong here. See? Dot star and slash n, we are using this group like this one, right? Just use this. Okay, now it is right. Data.exe. Okay, so it is saying that SLC is 3 and MLC is 1. Let us verify whether it is right or not. So SLC, okay, input. Where is input? Input.txt. So obviously, single line comment we are okay with. So obviously, this is fine. Okay. Then comes the part 1 and then 2. Right. So only 2 multi-line comments were there. So it is showing only 1. That is one problem. The second problem is if you observe, except the hash include, which was written before the uh, multi-line comment, except that everything else is gone. Okay, so obviously there is something wrong with the expression. Okay, it's not completely wrong, but it is eliminating the entire content of the program. Okay, so obviously there is a issue with this. So what might be an issue? It is basically taking each and everything as a part of the multi-line command, because it starts with slash star and ends with star slash. Correct. So here I have written in the input, so slash star here. So until star slash means, obviously if it is eliminating the entire program, so it is considering that this entire part is a basically belongs to this command line. Okay, so not working exactly as we have intended. So obviously we have to change the regular expression. Okay, so let me try out other regular expressions that has been written. Obviously this might also be wrong, but I'll try it out. Okay, let us see what will happen. So you also can try things out, otherwise you will never get the idea. Okay, let us first compile. Okay, now it is showing two multi-line command. Count is fine, but as you can observe here, only the first line of the comment has been eliminated. The remaining lines are kept as they are. Okay, so it's not working as intended. Okay, so let me try out the last one also. Okay, I'm trying and showing this out because, as I said, there is no specific way to do this. Okay, so you can have different ways of writing. See, the count sometime the count is coming properly. Sometimes the elimination is done properly, right? So there are going to be parts where your attempt is going to be correct. So if you modify that, then you may get the right answer. Okay, so I've copied that. I believe. So I'll run this program. Mistake is there, of course. So this is applied to the entire character class. Just leave a space here. No space. What is this? This backspace. Let's remove the meaning of this. Obviously, it is an error. Okay. So whatever you have written inside the character class, so this is an error. Basically, it says not of star, but star is a meta character again. So I think the intention of what has been mentioned here is not correct. So obviously it is going to give us an error. Okay. So I think those were the only three answers I got. Anybody else has given me an answer? No. Okay. Right. It's a tricky one to write the pattern for the multi-line command, because a multi-line command can range over multiple lines. That is one of the reason, and as a result, you may not be able to uh, use this as a rule to match the multi-line command. Okay, so anything that has been written like this, okay, like if this is the case, this will be matched by this rule, and it will be identified. But you can write multi-line comment in different ways, right? So I can write it like this. This is one variation, correct? I can also write like this. I can also write like this. Second variation. Okay. I can also write like this. Okay. I can just write slash star. Then after next line, I will keep on typing, and then I can write it like this. So there are different variations, correct? So this is one thing. The second thing is, if we are supposed to count the comment lines, okay, now the number of comment lines, we haven't considered that in the previous case also, the number of comment lines is going to vary with different kinds of multi-line comment. Okay, issue here is, like for example, in the first case, how many number of comment lines are there? Multi-line comments are 1. Okay, but how many comment lines are there? So in this, we have only have a single comment line. Okay, in the second case, right? How many multi-line comment are there? One only. Okay, this entire thing is a single multi-line comment. But how many comment lines are there? So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So 3 comment lines are there. Okay, and then in the next case, in the third case, how many multi-line comment? One multi-line comment. But how many comment lines? So this is one comment line, second, third, fourth, and of course this is also a part of the comment line, right? So fifth, so 5. Okay, in the last case, how many multi-line comment? One only. So the fourth case. But how many comment lines are there? So this is one, alright? Even though I have not written anything here, obviously it is a comment line, right? Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So totally 6 comment lines are there. So if you want to match all of these things, then writing a single pattern is not going to be sufficient, because it can be like this or it can be any of the 4, right? So having a common pattern for this is not going to be okay. That does not mean that I can simply keep on writing different patterns for different comment lines. Obviously, that is also not going to happen. Okay. So what we can do is we can take a different approach. So I will explain about how we can take the different approach to identify both comment line as well as multi-line comments. Okay, let us look into this program of ours. So this is the program to eliminate the comment lines. Okay, and it's not only going to eliminate the comment lines, it's going to also copy the output to one more file called as output.txt. Okay, so obviously we are familiar with input.txt. That's how I am giving the input. Let me also talk about how we can give the output. Okay, so now when I run the program, the output is visible here. Okay, except from okay, the output is actually visible here in the previous case as we had observed. So if I want to change the output of our Lexer, okay, just like YY_in, right? Just like YY_in, we have one more variable associated with the Lexer called as YY_out. Okay, so if YY_in is the input of the Lexer, then YY_out is the output of the Lexer. Okay, so you can redirect the output to a file. So right now YY_out is associated with standard output, which is nothing but your terminal. So if you don't want your Lexer's output to be standard output, then we can redirect it to a file by using fopen function once again. Okay, so you are now opening up a file called as output.txt, into which you are supposed to write your output, and you are opening that in the write mode, correct? Because you are writing. So previously we had opened input.txt in read mode, but now we are trying to write. So obviously you are supposed to open the file in write mode. Okay, so you need to add this statement in your Lex so that the input also is modified and output also is modified. Okay, so let us consider that also. So let us get back to the program, right? So obviously this part you are familiar with. So SLC is equal to 0, MLC is equal to 0, and also I'm counting the total number of comment lines. So if this was not a problem, I could have written multiple patterns for the multi-line comment and would have gotten away with it. But if we are supposed to count the total number of comment lines in our program, then we need to have this variable and also few logic changes in order to ensure that the multi-line comments are correctly identified. Okay, now we'll use a flag value just as an indicator. And what is that indicator? The indicator is that when I see a pattern which is /0, sorry, /star, right? So whenever I see that /star, okay, it means that my comment has started. Okay, it means that my comment has started. So whatever follows, right, is a part of the multi-line comment, right? That is one thing. Now when this will be ended, whenever I see a matching star slash, right? So this is when I know that I have reached the end of the multi-line comment. So what I can do is I can have a flag value. Okay, I can have a flag value set to 1 whenever I come across this symbol. So if this flag is set, whatever I read later, all of those are going to be considered as a part of my comment line, right? So when I come across star slash, then I will set flag is equal to 0, right? So then I'll set flag is equal to 0, which means that now we have come to the end of our multi-line comment. So this is the logic. That's it. Okay. So let us first look into the first regular expression. So I believe all of you are familiar with this slash star, dot star, and added slash and not necessary, by the way. You know that it's going to work even without this. We have put it specifically because I wanted that slash and also to be removed from the single line comment. I did not want that line to be present itself. That's why. But if you want, you can remove that. Just remove that. That's not necessary. So in that case, what we are doing, we are incrementing the single line comment plus plus. Along with that, how many it contributes to the total comment line? It contributes by 1. So TCL plus plus. Okay. Now comes the important part, which is the multi-line comment. So whenever you observe this pattern, right? So this is the beginning of a multi-line comment, right? So what we will do is we will increment the value of that total comment line by 1 here in this case, and we will set the flag value to 1. Okay, so this is the indication that now the multi-line comment has actually started. Okay, so when I am inside a multi-line comment, right? So you will come across flash n, correct? So this is what indicates that a comment line is inserted, correct? So when you see a slash n, now also remember that there may be other places where slash n is, right? So I have to consider it for counting only when flag value is set to 1, right? So whenever I see slash n, if and only if flag value is set, then I will increment the total comment lines. Okay, otherwise, okay, this is a macro function that is used to simply, I think I have discussed about this echo statement, so which will simply echo out whatever has been read by the lexer, right? So if it is anything other than inside the comment line, then they are going to be retained as it is. Okay, so then comes the next part, resetting the flag. So if I see a star slash, then if earlier the flag value was set, then I know that I have to reset the value of flag. Along with that, this is the end of my multi-line, right? So obviously I will increment the value of multi-line comment by 1. Okay. For any other case, for any other character that I have read, if the flag value is not set, then what we do? We retain it as it is. That's it. Okay. So this is the rule that we have written. Of course, the other things you will be able to understand. So I need 3 arguments, correct? I need the name of the program, input, and the output. So if you don't give like that, obviously your program will exit saying that you have no files. Otherwise, you will modify the input, modify the output, call the lexer, and print the values. Okay. So I believe this is understandable. Let us try to run our program now. If you have any doubts, then you can put it in the comment line. CLS. Check. I think let's change the name of the file. Okay, so flex. gcc model.c by wrap I need to add around having this. Now a.exe. If I simply give this, obviously it shows that there are no files. So we have to give files, input file and output file. Let me give that a.exe, input.txt, and output has to be returned to output.txt. Okay, so it's showing the output. Single line comments are 5, which we are familiar with. Multi-line comment is 2, and total number of comment lines it has counted as 13. Okay, let us verify with input.txt. Okay, so how many comment line? 1, 2. So obviously here also we have a comment line 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Right? So getting the exact number. So let us see whether output has been modified. Okay, or whether the output file is eliminated with the comment line. Right? So do I have an output file? Yes. Okay, sorry. I'll open it in Notepad. Right. As you can observe, everything has been eliminated except the program. Right. So this is how we are going to eliminate the comment lines along with counting them as well. Okay, so this is the part of your program, right? Now, if you observe that spacing has been retained as it is, if I add that slash and on, then you can still compact this program into simple one. Okay, but sometimes the alignment gets missed out, so that's why we did not specify that slash n. Okay, so this is the program for counting the total number of single line comment, total number of multi-line comments, along with the total number of comment lines, along with that also eliminating them from the output. Okay, so any doubts with regard to this program? Any doubts, you can put it in the comment box. Okay, if not, then let us look into the next program, which is a program to recognize a arithmetic expression, right? So let us look into that program to recognize an arithmetic expression. Let me load that up for you. Any doubts with regard to the previous program? Uh, I would like you to try that out later before the next session. So if you don't have any doubts, then we can move on with our next program. Okay. So let me start this. Is it visible? Screen? Right. I believe it is visible, right? So if not, then do let me know. Okay. Right. So the program is yet again to write a Lex program in order to recognize valid arithmetic expressions. Okay. Not only that, you are supposed to also print the identifiers that are present in the expression and the operators that are present in them. Okay. And they are supposed to be plus and star only, not minus and slash. So count the identifiers and operators present and print them separately. So you are supposed to print them separately, right? So this is the program, right? So obviously we are familiar with the Lex program structure, so we'll not look into that. Let us look into few examples. Okay, so we are supposed to check whether an expression is a valid arithmetic expression, right? So I have two groups here. I hope this is visible. Two groups. Out of them, which one is valid and which one is invalid? Of course, by looking into it, you will be able to find out that group 1 is a set of valid expression and group 2 is a set of invalid expression, right? For example, 11 plus 2. Of course, I have used all the operators. In the program, they have just mentioned that you are supposed to use only star and slash. Okay, so not an issue. We can also do it for minus and star. Sorry, minus and slash, right? So group 1 is a set of all valid arithmetic expressions, right? And group 2 is a set of expression, if they are arithmetic expressions of course, but they are not valid, right? Now how do we judge whether an expression is valid or not, an arithmetic expression is valid or not? Any idea regarding how we can judge? I can say that, see here, 11 plus 2 is there. Okay, so 11, first expression is 11 plus 2, right, in group 1. Second expression is 11 plus 2 plus 2, right? How do we know that this is correct and this is wrong, right? That's the question. So if we get that link between which is correct and which is wrong, then we will be able to recognize whether an expression is valid or not. So can anyone tell how can we say that 11 plus 2 is a valid expression and 11 plus 2 plus 2 is not a valid expression? So what is the process involved to identify an arithmetic expression, valid arithmetic expression that is? How do we know that these are valid and these are invalid, right? So number of, one of the answer, number of operators must be 1 less than the number of operands, right? See, we are talking about, yes, you're right. We are talking about operators and operands, right? So, and that too, we are talking specifically about operators like plus, minus, star, and slash. So, what kind of operators are these? These are binary operators, correct? So, these are binary operators. What do you mean by binary operators? Binary means it should have two operands. Okay, it should have two operands, right? Like for example, if I write a plus b, yes, this is correct because this is a binary operator and it has got beside it two operands, right? So why this is not correct? If I write like this, of course this has b and this, so this can be considered as a single term, but where is the second operator? The second operator is missing. The second operand is missing, right? So this is invalid. So that's why 5 plus 11 is correct, but 5 plus 11 plus is wrong from group 1 and group 2, right? So the thing to remember is that the number of operators, because we are considering all binary operators, the number of operators should be 1 less than the number of operands, right? So if this is the case, then I can say that it is valid, right? So let us see whether this logic works or not. Okay. So is the number of operands one less than the number of operator? Sorry, number of operands one greater than the operator? Yes. Right. So one operator is the two operands. Valid. One operator, two operands. Valid. Right. Now here in this case, operand count is 3. Operator count should be 1 less than that. So we have got 2. So it is valid. Similarly here 3 operators, 4 operands. Valid. So here of course I am using parenthesis, but it's a valid expression once again, and this is also valid. It will basically serve the same, and this one is also valid. So how many operators are there? 2 operators, 3 operands are there, right? And also look at opening brackets and closing brackets. That also contributes whether an expression is valid or not, because they do the grouping, right? Okay, why it is wrong? Because two operators, two operands, correct? That one less than the operator does not work. What about this one? Same, right? Two operators are there, plus and plus, but only two operands are present. Expected one more. So here, same thing, right? So three operators, three operands. What about this one? This is with regard to the parenthesis, right? So we have got invalid parenthesis here. So here, what about this? Same thing, right? We've got an extra parenthesis. What about this one? Right, 11 slash 3 star 2. So here, in between, we haven't used any operator as such. So it's an invalid one. What about this one? Opening bracket is there, closing bracket is there, but they are not in their proper places. So obviously, it is a wrong expression. Okay. Let us consider this parenthesis also, because as I said, when we are grouping expressions, we may make use of opening bracket and closing bracket. Okay, so obviously that also needs to be considered for an arithmetic expression to be valid, right? So now that we know what we are looking for and how to judge an valid arithmetic expression, so we need what? We need two things now, right? So we need first the operator count, right? Somehow we need to get the operator count. I'll write it as OPC, and we also need operand count, right? So I'll write it as OPNC, right? You can give any variable. So I will get some number. For example, if it is A plus B, operator count is 1, and what about operand count? 2. So if I check for what is OPC, right, or operand count, if it is 1 less than that, right? So if it is less than operand count, right? So if it is some logic like this, if I use it, then I will get to know that this is a valid expression. Okay, but obviously I need to print them separately, right? So obviously we need to write a rule for identifying these operators first: plus, minus, star, and slash. So also we need to also identify operand. So operand means what? It can be something like this, A, B, C, something like this we'll use, X, Y, Z, or something like this. Or else we can also use numbers, right? So 22 plus 33, something like this. So what is the rule that we are supposed to write for operands? Can anybody mention here? Also, what is the rule to match for operands? Okay, can you specify? Anyone? What rule we can write to specify or to identify an operator, which is in this case arithmetic operator, and what is the rule we can write to identify operands? Okay, okay, both sections are together. We have given it as A and B. Okay, rule for arithmetic operator: plus, minus, star, and slash. What rule can be written to identify plus, minus, star, and slash? No one? Nobody has the answer? It's quite straightforward, right? What do we use? Right. So Abdul has written slash plus slash star slash minus and slash slash. Okay, I think this is what he has written. Okay. This Vinny also has written. Okay, Abdul has written like this, but no problem. So he has written slash first, okay, and then slash star slash plus. Okay, one and the same. I'm just writing it later. Something like this. Tejaswini has written plus star and slash. Okay, divided by 5. This is how we write, right? Okay, and this one is slash. Okay, so this one should be slash, right? Yes. You need not write star here. Reason is because we don't write like this plus plus. Okay, so we don't write minus minus. Of course, these are also operators, but not arithmetic operators, right? So having a star here is not necessary. Star will mean what? Zero or more occurrence of this, but there will be only one occurrence in your expression. So there is no need of writing star. But of course, you can write the characters in or whatever you are looking for in the character class. Okay, that's what Abdul has written. So the reason why he is using this escape sequence is because if you remember, these things are meta characters, right? These things are meta characters. So he has removed the meaning of those and he has returned it. Okay, so this is also right, no problem. So you can also try this out. And he has written only one character class because either this or this or this is going to be matched. Okay, fine. But simplest way, if you don't want to use escape sequences and all, simplest way is literally specify them, what you are looking for. Like for example, if my name was this, I would literally specify that this is my name, right? So similarly, we can also specify here that we are literally looking for what? Plus, because there are only four things, right? Or I'm looking for minus, or I'm looking for star, or I'm looking for slash. Which slash this slash, right? So you can simply write it like this. Simple way to write a rule. Of course, you can use character class also. That's not a problem. But be sure that you escape the meanings of meta character, especially that minus, because minus inside the character class specifies range. Okay, so if you simply specify minus, then it will give some error. So escape the meaning of that and then use it in your character class as Abdullah has done it. Okay, that is one thing. Now what about, so this is for operator, right? What about operand? What about operand? So operand can be of the form 5 plus 3 or a plus 3 or a plus b or 55 plus 33, something like this, right? So all of these things are operands. What can we write? What rule can be written for them? Anybody? Normal, right? They're digits and numbers, alphabets, right? So 0 to 9 plus. Okay, so we'll match any of these types. Okay, A to Z, A to Z. That's it, sufficient, right? So we will not write like A and BB or something. If you write like that, then simply put a plus. That's it, right? So you can write a rule like this. You need, right? So if that is the case, then you can consider that it is a operand, sorry, operand, right? So one more answer I have got. Can't write it together. That's the problem. Okay, like depends. So why we can't write like this is because for the examples I have considered, okay, I have considered only simplest of operators, sorry, operands. So like for some number or some character. That's it. Okay. So for that you need not write a complex regular expression like this. And also when you're writing it together, what it means, I'll just explain why this is wrong. What is written is first comes 0 to 9. Okay, so this can be any number of times, right? And then A to Z, A to Z. So it is expected that it should be there. So one of this followed by one of this. Okay, and then he has written A to Z star. So this may be there or may not be there. So this means that you are expecting something like this, 1A. Okay, so this is not the case. After 1 there may not be anything. It can be after 1, if anything is there, then I'm expecting a number only. Okay, of course this is going to be okay, this will be matching that, but you also need to follow it up with some character. So that's what this regular expression is. So not required here as per that. Okay, so here they are written. See, I am not getting the point here. See, either I will have to have an expression like this, or I will have expression like this. In both the cases, this is an operand, this is an operand. Okay, these are two separate cases. What you are doing here is you are merging them together. Don't merge them together, right? So either my operand is going to be a number, or it is going to be a character. Okay, this itself is sufficient. No need to write star also here, because I'm only looking for input like this. Okay, so we have written a regular expression for operands, and we have written the regular expression for operators. Quite simple. So when I come across this, we are supposed to count them. So increment the value of count, operator count and operand count. And one more thing that we are supposed to do is we are supposed to print them separately, right? Now to print them separately, I need to copy my operand somewhere. Okay, so let us keep an array which will copy the operator and operand separately, and then we can print these array values in order to print the operators as well as operand at the end. Okay, so count also we need to keep track of, and we also need to keep track of which operator is there and which operand is there. So as we come across an operator, we will copy that into this array. As we come across an operand, we will copy it into this particular array. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is, now what about expressions of this form? Okay, so I should also judge that this is a valid expression. Okay, how do we judge that this is a valid expression, right? So what is the logic that we can use for parenthesis, opening bracket and closing bracket, right? So this is valid, obviously this is invalid, right? Now why this is valid and why this is invalid? Of course, there's a mismatch, correct, between the opening bracket and the closing bracket. So what do we expect? We expect number of opening brackets to be same as closing bracket, right? So this is one way to do it. Second thing is, here number of opening parent brackets is not same as close bracket. So that is one way to judge whether we have got a valid expression or not. Okay, so opening bracket should be equal to closing bracket, right? So this is matching in this case. So here in this case, opening bracket count is not is less than the closing bracket count, right? So obviously it is invalid. Or else I can have a common what do you call, variable to keep track of bracket. Okay, so I'll call it as bracket count. So whenever I come across an opening bracket, I will increment bracket count. So if I come across this pattern, I will be incrementing this. If I come across a closing bracket, which is this pattern, I will reduce it. Okay, in the end, I will check whether bracket count is equal to 0. So if it is 0, then I can say that it is a valid expression. Okay, so this is also another simple logic that we can actually make use of. But if I use this logic, what will happen is, if the expression is like this, whether valid or invalid, right? You know that this is invalid, but as per your logic, right, so bracket count will be equal to 0, right? So when I come across this bracket count minus minus, so it will be -1. When I come across this bracket count plus plus, so it will become 0. So as per this, your bracket count is equal to 0. So it says that this particular expression is valid. Obviously it is not. Okay, so we will use a different approach here for brackets. Assuming that we give brackets in any form, we can actually make use of a stack-like structure to keep track of opening brackets and closing brackets, right? So I will only increment or decrement if I see something on top of the stack, okay? Or when I come across closing bracket, I will check whether there is a matching bracket on the top of the stack. So if it is present, then only I am going to decrement. If not, then I'm not going to decrement, okay? So using this logic, I hope you have got this. Let us look into that program, right? So where is it, right? Okay, so as I said, an arithmetic expression contains what? It contains operators as well as operands. The logic to check whether an expression is valid is that the operator count should be one less than the operand count, right? So in most of the cases, we can say that this is a valid arithmetic expression. Okay, of course, there are some cases where this logic is not going to work. I'm going to explain that later. What about parenthesis? In an expression, always we expect the count to be 0. But when we have multiple brackets or the case that I mentioned, obviously we can make use of stack to handle those particular cases. Okay, so let us look into the program now. So this is the declaration section of the program. I hope you are able to see this. Right, so you're able to see this, right? So of course we need copying option. So string copy option. So we have used string.h here. Okay, we are using string.h. For that purpose, we'll use strcpy. Okay, and of course stdio.h as usual was present in earlier programs also. So what are the things we need to keep track of? Operator count. Okay, so initialize that to 0. Operand count, initialize that to 0. We will also have a variable which will tell whether our expression is valid or not. So let us initially assume that valid is 1. Okay, or if the value is 1, then expression is valid. If not, if it is 0, expression is invalid. So in all the invalid handling cases, we will make valid as 0. And of course, since I'm talking about stack, we need a top pointer. So top is equal to -1 and few variables I and j to print the values of operator as well as operand, because we need to loop through for looping construct. We will use I and j values. Okay, now to store the operator and operand, let us have some arrays declared. We're using a two-dimensional array because we can have strings stored in this. So operators, operands, and let us have a stack also, which is a of type character. Okay, so this is the declaration section of my program, just declaring few variables, right? Now let us look into the logic, right? So section 2, which is the rule section, right? So what has to be done? So simple way of writing the logic is, as I said, if I come across opening bracket, bracket count plus plus. If I come across closing bracket, bracket count minus minus. So that's the simplest way of writing it. But as I said, it will work for most cases except the case that I actually shown you. Okay, so we'll use the stack in that case. So whenever I come across an opening bracket, what is the action that is taken? Okay, we have written action in multiple lines so that you understand. So what is it? Increment the top pointer and push the content onto the top of the stack. Okay, so this is nothing but the push operation that we have done. So on top of the stack, we will have opening bracket. Okay, so this action will be repeated for every opening bracket that you are going to come across. Right? Next one. What is the next one? Next rule is for closing bracket. Right? So when I come across a closing bracket, what are the things that we need to check for? First thing that we need to check for is whether we have on top of the stack an opening bracket. Because if we don't have an stack on the top, then obviously, sorry, opening bracket on the top of the stack, then obviously it is invalid, right? So for example, if this is the case, a plus b, so on seeing this, we have on top of the stack an opening bracket, right? So let us forget about this part. So when I come across this closing bracket, what do I expect? I expect a matching opening bracket to be present on top of the stack. So if it is not present, then what does it mean? I have simply come across a closing bracket without a matching opening bracket. So obviously it is a invalid case, right? So that's why If stack of top does not contain an opening bracket, then you just set valid is equal to 0. Okay, this is one of the cases, right? The second case is when you don't, you have only operators and operands, right? So which is obviously for this particular case. Sorry. So it is for this particular case, right? So what do you expect? You expect an operator to be present in between. Okay, or whenever I write an operator on operand, I expect the valid expression to be present inside this, right? So that's why this else if case has been mentioned here. So if operand count is greater than 0, right, and operand, so if it is a valid expression inside, right, so in that case you, sorry, if it is an invalid expression inside, then you set it to 0, valid to 0. Okay, so two invalid cases have been handled here. So next, if that is not the case, then obviously you have something on top of the stack. You have something on top of the stack, which is an opening bracket. Okay, so you have a matching closing bracket. So what we do, since we come across a closing bracket, we have to remove this from the top of the stack. So we decrement the top pointer, and we will set we'll set the operands count and operator count to 1 and 0 respectively. Why? Because this entire thing is now considered as an expression. Whatever you have written inside is now considered as an expression. Okay, then we can move further on to check whether other expressions are present. Okay, so this is what we do when we come across an opening bracket and a closing bracket. So on opening bracket, you add it to the top of the stack. On coming across a closing bracket, you will pop the content, right, and set the operator and operand count to like you reinitialize the values of operator count and operand count. Okay, so that is one thing. So what happens for other things? So as I have already told, if it is a plus or a minus or a star or a slash, increment the count. Also copy them to their respective arrays. Okay, so using strcpy here. So whatever has been matched, where it will be present in YY text. So copy the same into the respective array. So if it is operator, you will copy that to operators. If it is operand, you will copy that to operands. Okay. So of course, you need to increment the values of I and j with every find. Okay. So otherwise, it will simply override the array. Got it? Okay. Any other case, slash n as soon as you enter indicates the end of the input. So return 0. Right. That's it. So this is the rule section of my arithmetic expression. Okay. Section 3 obviously is the main program where we verify. Of course, you are supposed to enter an expression and call Lexer. Lexer is going to do its job, and once it is done, you will get the output. Okay, so you will have all the values filled up: operator, count, valid, top, everything, right? Now, when do I say that it's a valid expression? 3 cases, not 3, 4 cases, right? The first case is valid should be set to 1. It should be unchanged, right? That is one thing. Then on top of the stack, I should have nothing. Okay, I started with an empty stack, so I expect an empty stack to be present at the end. Okay, and operands count should be equal to, sorry, should be greater than 0. Okay, I should at least have one operand, right? That is this case. And of course, if there are more than one operand, then this value should be checked. Okay, so it should be equal to 1. So if that's the case, we'll print it's valid, and we'll print the operator list, and we'll print the operator list along with other things, right? So if not, then we will print that it is invalid and end the program, right? So this is what the program is for checking whether the expression is valid or not. Okay, I'll share this document with you. Suppose to run this program and execute. Of course, for Linux, I have given the commands here to compile and execute the program. For Windows, obviously, you are familiar with that. So try to execute the same. Okay. Any doubts here with regard to these two programs? These two programs are in the syllabus, by the way. So if you have tried out these programs, which I believe you haven't, most of you, so you can compare that with the one that I'm sending here. Okay. If you are able to come up with a program that works the same as these programs, that is also welcomed, right? So completely up to you. It's not that you have to write the program like this only. So if your program works for the input and produces the same set of output other than what has been written here, so that is also welcomed. Okay. So do you have any doubts with regard to this? Okay, now remember, these programs are whatever I'm teaching. These are not only part of your laboratory sessions or laboratory exercises, they are also part of your fourth module in your system software. Okay, so basically I'm covering both fourth module as well as laboratory exercise together. So writing Lex programs and YAG programs is going to be very, very important. So if you have any doubts regarding how to write and all, then obviously it will become difficult for you to write programs if asked during internals or in the examination. So don't keep any doubts. If you have any doubts, then you can put it here, or else, as I did in the last session also, after the session, I will wait for 5 minutes. You can rejoin into the same link, and if you have anything to discuss, you can discuss with me. Okay, so that will be totally an impromptu discussion. You can ask doubts in Kannada also if you have any doubts regarding whatever concept that has been discussed so far. You can ask. Okay. So anyhow, if you don't have any doubts, then I'll take the attendance. Just a second. If no, if yes, then you can join me back. I will wait till 4. Okay. So those who are done, they can leave. Those who have any doubts, they can stay back and join the session and have a discussion. Okay, just a second, I'll take the attendance before you leave. Okay, I've taken the attendance. I will also share the attendance sheet with you. So do fill that up. And if you don't have any doubts, then you can leave the session. Those who have any doubts, they can stay back and discuss. Okay, thank you, students.